If you're anything like me, I want to encourage you. You're not crazy. I had a great weekend this weekend, spending some time with some drag racing legends. I'm not going to drop names or anything. That's not important. But very, very refreshing weekend being reminded that I'm not crazy, at least not in the way a lot of people think. It's a Talk About It Tuesday, and we're going to talk about it. I'm Mike, and you're watching My Car's Shop. I spend most of my time working out here in the shop by myself, as you know, and I do an awful lot of stuff, whether it's working on the Stitches Challenger or the 26 Oakland or the 39 truck or something in the machine shop, or there's always something going on out here. And I have a very specific way that I approach things. And I come under fire for that a lot more than you probably know. And that's okay. But I will say this, sometimes I get a little weary and I feel like John the Baptist out here is the voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Now, let me clarify this and say that my longtime followers here on the channel, you guys are awesome. You get it. You are encouraged by what I do and all of that stuff. It's not you guys at all. So don't, that's not what I'm saying. But there's a whole lot of other people that I end up interacting with either directly or indirectly from the channel. And yeah, sometimes it wears on me and I think, oh, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I am crazy. And this weekend was just really refreshing to have conversations with people who are legends, particularly in the funny car world, nitromethane world, and show car world, people who have done Riddler cars, people who have shown at the Autorama over and over and over again, people who drag race, legends, absolute legends. And I just had some really encouraging conversations. And one thing that struck me with one guy that I was talking about is we were sharing things back and forth, and I was asking questions and he was saying stuff and I would comment based on my perspective and what I understand and what I know. And he paused at one point and he said, it is so refreshing to talk to somebody who understands, who knows, who's knowledgeable. And he went on to say that he spent so much time doing these shows like I was at this weekend and ends up dealing with what I would call I had one of those 556 cubic inch Hemis in my 1964 Plymouth Challenger, and it had one of them 6-speed transmissions, and that ran 6 seconds in a quarter mile right from the factory. You know the kind I'm talking about. I love listening to these guys talk. I love listening to these guys share their stories. I've always been that way. I've shared other people that I know here on the channel and experiences with other legends in the Mopar world. I've been very, very blessed to know some very historical, significant people in the drag racing world. And it was just like a breath of fresh air to me to remind me that, you know what, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm not crazy. I probably am crazy, but at least not in that area. And I wanted to do this as a Talk About It Tuesday, not to pat myself on the back, not to blow my own horn, none of that. That's not what this is about. I wanted to say, first of all, it was encouraging to me. It was like, oh, I'm with my peeps. I'm with people who get it. I'm with people who understand where I'm coming from, who have in many ways been influential in helping form a lot of the things that I know and I understand. And it also reminded me that my experiences are not the norm. I forget that sometimes, and I expect, like, when I share certain things, when it comes to performance stuff particularly, that I'm going to be understood. And I don't necessarily expect to be understood, but somehow you still think that more people get it than actually do sometimes. One fellow in particular was sharing that he had a 1050 Dominator on his big block drag car, pro street car, sorry, it wasn't a drag car, never been a drag car. It does run 1140s in the quarter, but he had a 1050 Dominator on there and had all kinds of problems with it, and it wouldn't run right and so forth. It ran great on the track, before normal driving. And I said, yep. I said, I get it. I said, it may flow good at 7,000 RPM, but how often are you driving it at 7,000 RPM? And he said, exactly, exactly. And he actually went to 2 Edelbrock 500 CFM air door carburetors. And if you've seen any of my teaching, I say that loosely on that. It's here on the channel. Those carburetors function much better because they're on-demand carburetors. They're anyway, they're just, that's here. I don't need to get into all that. But he was like, yeah, I get it. And that's why he went to those 2 500 Edelbrocks and solved all of his problems because of the way those carburetors flow, the way they take their fuel and air into the engine, et cetera, et cetera. It was just a much better scenario than the 1050 Dominator for his street, pro street, a legitimate, true pro street car. And I said, I'm guessing that you probably rarely ever flow up to that, 1,000 CFM. He said, oh, never, almost never, because I don't drive it like that on the street, only on the track. Exactly. Just one example of a conversation where it was nice to talk to somebody that understood what I was saying. So my encouragement to you, find those people in your own world who will understand what you're saying, who will understand your experiences. You probably know a whole lot more than you think you do, but the cool kids, whoever they are, they've been told certain things and they've seen dyno results and they knew a guy who had one. And, I was in the dyno cell when that 1500 CFM carburetor, by the way, I just found out that's a thing these days. When that 1500 CFM carburetor really, really flowed well at 8,000, I believe that's all true, but that's not necessarily the real world that most of us live in, and it's not the full story. Find those people you can have those intelligent conversations with for your own good, as much as you can learn something. Believe me, I learned a ton this weekend, and I shared some things that maybe they learned a little bit from me too. Probably not, but yeah, actually, in all honesty, probably did. But it's nice to recognize that when you come together with somebody with a like mind, and it's just encouraging to go, hey, I'm not alone out here doing what I do. You're not crazy, I promise. You just may not be in the right circle of people who will understand you. And the second thing in that, be reminded, you may not be understood. And that's okay. They don't have to understand you. But remember that you're not crazy. You know what you know based on your experiences. Yes, we all have things to learn. The day we stop learning is the day we start dying. But seek out those things where you can have those conversations and be encouraged. If you're like me and you're out here all the time, connect with your peeps again. Man, I'm telling you, I feel so renewed and so rejuvenated and so regrounded in what I do, in who I am, and what I offer here at MKS. I hope I don't lose sight of that, and I'm looking forward to getting to hang out with these guys again, hopefully soon. All right, that'll do it for this one. I appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one, and don't forget, because it's really important. It is. It's important.